to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we're unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. We're streaming on all social media platforms, so follow, like, subscribe, share, or comment at keystothecity.com on all, like I said, social media platforms, or you can check out clovercrestmedia.com as well if you want to get involved in this field, behind the scenes, having to start your own podcast. You could check out clovercrestmedia.com for many more podcasts, and like I said, if you're trying to start a career, no better way to start than a career like this. And ladies and gentlemen, what a start it has been to already fascinating NFL offseason. So many storylines, so many rumors, so many reports. You know the dealio that always goes on around this time of year. We're about to have the NFL Combine. Ladies and gentlemen, it is March 1st, so you know what that also means. March Madness is here, ladies and gentlemen. It's officially upon us, and boy, oh boy, have we had some stunning games, upsets in the NCAA. So it should be a fascinating NCAA tournament in the next coming weeks. We'll be talking about that, predictions, and all on Keys to the City. But we're going to also start.
Hey, I want to tell you something. I was thinking about it as you just started talking about March Madness. So listen to this idea. I was listening to a radio show, and this guy, they do a fantasy.
Oh, you listen to radio shows other than us? That's mean.
Absolutely.
You can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. You only listen to Keys to the City and Keys to the City only.
So listen to this. So they do a fantasy draft March Madness. 8 teams.
Like players?
No. 8 teams, snake draft, and you pick the teams round 1 through 8, and then back through. So like if you have the number 1 pick, you choose who you want. So like, all right, I got Gonzaga. Yeah. Then blah blah blah. Then the second round, you go through until you pick all 64 teams in the 8 teams. And
that's pretty cool.
That's 8 rounds, 8 teams you pick, and if based on when you pick the team, you get certain points for round 1, point 2, and then depending on how your team goes, you know, you could. I was like, well, that's a pretty wild way of doing fantasy.
We might have to consider something like that. That's a pretty interesting. I never heard that before, but that's pretty interesting. Well, we'll be talking about standings and playoffs in the sense for the NBA because the Eastern Conference, that Eastern Conference specifically, boy, oh boy, good luck picking a team that's going to be representing the Eastern Conference this year. You got the Heat, you got the Bucks, you got the Celtics, the Nets, who are currently the 8th seed, the Sixers, the Celtics, just some of the teams that have a golden opportunity to be making an NBA Finals. But we're also going to talk about the LA Lakers because there is a mess. It was a Hollywood ending for the LA Rams. It's a Hollywood disaster for the LA Lakers. We'll be talking about that and all. But let's start off with the NFL offseason specifically because, like I've been saying, we talk about it every year with the offseason. Quarterbacks on the move, especially the past couple of years. We've seen it year in and year out where big-name quarterbacks have been moving. It's become almost the norm in the NFL now, whereas 3-4 years ago, we were just saying that Brady would never go to another team. Aaron Rodgers would never go to another team. Russell Wilson, just some of the names. Matthew Stafford. We never thought Matthew Stafford would get traded, but with the movement it's had going on in the NFL, it certainly brings up the question of what do we expect come this offseason. Now, I posted this question today because the quarterback market's the most important position in all of the sports, not just the NFL, but in all of sports. It's the most popular, it's the most famous, and it's the most well-known. So I put hypothetical because there are some big names that could hypothetically be traded and find a new home. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, Derek Carr. I only say these names because I'm not talking about the free agency class. Because the quarterback free agency class, let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to take you from a team that we've been talking about, teams that are on the cusp. We've been talking about it feels like for weeks, Ted, about teams on the cusp because of the success of the Buccaneers, the success of the Rams winning Super Bowls because they went all in. Well, there's some teams like the Washington Commanders, the Denver Broncos, the Indianapolis Colts, the Miami Dolphins, the Philadelphia Eagles, just some of the teams that have been associated with these big name quarterbacks. So I wanted to ask you, Ted, with hypothetical, the possibility. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen because Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Kyler Murray and Derek Carr realistically could be all on the same team next year, with the exception of Deshaun Watson, who looks like, pending his legal issues, could be on another team. So who would be, if you're one of these teams, the Eagles, the Commanders, the Colts, the Broncos, just a few of those teams that are right there that feel like they're a quarterback away from possibly competing for a championship, who would be the number one quarterback on your board?
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers. Oh, listen, if this is hypothetical, let's have
it's all. This is. I mean, we don't know. Like I said, this is going to happen.
I don't know how the Green Bay brings back Aaron Rodgers. It's almost like he's cheated on you multiple times. Well, how do you keep taking him back? I mean, here's the thing. You're in sour cap.
What are you talking about? It happens all the time in America. People cheat all the time. People just go back because people are idiots. They're morons.
Well, here's the thing. He's the best available quarterback.
Also, I'll give you the best. Hold on. Sorry. Best word for that. You're desperate.
Well,
when you feel desperate, you'll do anything you can.
Well, here's the thing. The Packers are in sour cap. Kind of not hell, but they're close to it. All right, we realize that their two best players, one is going to be a free agent, or they could franchise tag him, and Devontae Adams, and then you have Aaron Rodgers, right? I don't see how he comes back, and if he does want to come back, they're talking about he wants to be the highest paid player. That's $50 million. So hypothetically, let's go with the question. It's Aaron Rodgers. If you want to swing big, if you're really going for the knockout punch, you're going for the Mike Tyson. It's Aaron Rodgers 1, it's Russell Wilson 2, it's Deshaun Watson 3. That's the hypotheticals. Now let's take the hypotheticals out. Realistically, you're getting to the next tier. It's Jimmy G, it's Carson Wentz, it's
Bridgewater,
maybe it's Kirk Cousins because he's on the last year of his deal. Those are guys that I would say. Well, I mean, I'm just looking. It says the mid-tier trade, right? So you got Jimmy G, who you could trade for. You have Derek Carr. Probably unlikely that the Raiders trade him, unless something like, I don't know, unless the Eagles are like, we're giving up 3 first rounds and Jalen Hurts for Derek Carr. I think maybe the Raiders think about that.
Think about it.
They're a team where like, hold on one second. You can get Jalen Hurts, who's okay. Just led his team to the playoffs. All right, and then you get 3 first round picks where you can really fortify your team. And I mean, I know Derek Carr gives you the best chance to win, but I also think you added 3 first round picks with Jalen Hurts. You could really do some things. You can make some other pieces fit, especially if you can make some moves in the free agents. But you're looking at maybe Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Carson Wentz. And then after that, Trev, we talked about it's the free agency period, which really it's Teddy Bridgewater, Jameis, Marcus Mariota, and Trubisky. None of those guys really scream, I got to have you. Like that's the girl I got to have. So
That's when you're like, I'll just choose
other than Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, and maybe 2 or 3 other Lamar guys. Everyone else is available. If listen, like the show says, the price is right. If you're willing to give up, whatever you're willing to give up, multiple first-round picks, multiple second-round picks, veteran players. I mean, we talked about the other day. The Redskins are, the Commanders now, football team, Commanders. I mean, they're changing teams every second. But if you're a team like the Commanders, right, and you're like, all right, we want to go all in. You're willing to give up a guy like Chase Young. You still have a pretty good defense. You're willing to give up.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that, by the way, where you saw that report I sent you out that the Washington Commanders are willing to give up everybody included for a high-priced tier quarterback, specifically guys like Chase Young and Jonathan Allen, who are prized possessions of that almost stout defense we all thought. But to hear that, 2 guys that you think would be untouchables, it's got to say something.
Listen, in the NFL, there's no such thing as untouchable unless you play quarterback for the NFL. Every single person, even a head coach, is viable for trade. It's not even a question because we've seen great defenses like the Bears. All those years when they had great defenses, they couldn't find a quarterback. It doesn't matter what you have on the team. Perfect example. The Bengals made the Super Bowl with an awful offensive line. They had great weapons, but it's because of their quarterback. It was all because of Joe Burrow. If you don't have a Joe Burrow, if you don't have Josh Allen, if you don't have one of those, you have nothing. I don't care. You got to start with the quarterback. The quarterback in the NFL is so in sync. They're so driven. They've made the quarterback position so important that they're worth a player and a half as a star. I mean, if you're the Packers, I mean, think about like if Rodgers was the guy you would trade Devontae, you would trade multiple first-round picks. You would trade the best receiver and multiple first-round picks to get a Rodgers. If you're the
remember you heard the reports last year about another team, the Carolina Panthers, who could be looking for a quarterback. Remember we saw those rumors of the multiple draft picks plus Christian McCaffrey just to get Deshaun Watson. Like, so when you say like everybody's available, you hear something like that, Carolina. That's how serious it is when you're looking to go get.
It has to be.
It's not. We're not just talking about guys like Jimmy G or Carson Wentz. We're talking about guys that are the best of the best at their position. Aaron Rodgers has been the best of the best at his position for the past 10 years, 10, 12 years since he won his Super Bowl. He's really taken this league by storm. Deshaun Watson is another top-tier quarterback. I know he's been on some bad teams, but he is still a top-level quarterback. Talent-wise, skill-wise, play on the field-wise too. He does it all. I know he hasn't had the supporting cast and sometimes a team cast to support him with that. But in a sense, even Kyler Murray, you would consider him maybe a top-tier quarterback. Russell Wilson has been a top-tier quarterback since coming into the league. Like you said, Ted, 100%. When it comes to the quarterback position, everybody is available because it's that valuable.
Well, here's the
thing. We talk about offense.
I know, but here's the thing. Like the Rams, if you want to just use the recent, news and acknowledgement, the Rams had a quarterback. They had a first-round quarterback, a guy that they paid early.
Yeah.
They didn't think he was good enough, so they traded for Matthew Stafford. They gave up multiple first-round picks and Jared Goff, a first-round quarterback, a guy that led them to the Super Bowl because they didn't think their quarterback was good enough. So if you're on the cusp of being a Super Bowl contender and you don't think your quarterback is good enough, then you go swing away for the fences. Because here's the thing. If you keep swinging for singles and doubles and trying to hope that you hit, whatever, fish in a bottle, whatever the damn term is or phrase. We said this before, Trev. The Vikings, they have a legit running back. They got two receivers. They got a tight end. They got a pretty good offensive line. Their defense has always been solid. But Kirk Cousins is an issue. He's not good enough. He is not good enough to win you a Super Bowl. I don't know if listen. His record would not be 59-2 as a starting quarterback. So what's that say? He's good enough to get you to the playoffs, but 8-8, 7-9, 9-7, they're not good enough. They're just not good enough.
That's the peak you're getting with Kirk Cousins. That's the level you're getting with Kirk Cousins is a 500 or just above 500. That's what you're going to get. And that's not good enough for teams that if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, that's not good enough. To get to the playoffs, yeah, that's fine. If you're looking to just get to the playoffs and have some respect around the league, that's okay. But if you're looking to get a championship, Kirk Cousins isn't going to get the job done for you. So that's why teams like the Vikings could be added to this list of hypotheticals because, and I know it's amazing to see these draft picks. You've seen all these reports, these rumors of how much it could be realistically for Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's what it's going to take.
Well,
I mean, I know it sounds crazy because
especially because the draft class is weak.
Just to think like a team like the Eagles, and I always talk to my cousin, my roommate Jack, who is a big Eagles fan, and to hear that 3 first-round picks, Jalen Hurts possibly, and maybe another draft pick. I mean, it sounds incredibly like, wow, why would you do that? Why would you go that way? But that's what it's going to take to go get a top-tier quarterback. That's the level it takes. And that's what you have to give up for to go get the guy that could probably bring you, most likely or possibly bring you a championship.
Well,
so if I had to do my ranking right now, the number one quarterback, if he becomes available, obviously would either have to be Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. But I think it's also you got to take into consideration with this question, the system. I mean, like Aaron Rodgers, if he went to Philly, yeah, probably because it's Aaron Rodgers, but you could see a Deshaun Watson or a Kyler Murray fitting more into that mold because of the way Sirianni likes to run offense.
They would change the entire offense. You adapt. You adapt to your stars. Listen, When you draft Lamar Jackson, when you draft Jalen Hurts, you make your offense for them. We talked about this on the shows before. Stop trying to fit the square peg in the circle hole. If you got an athletic quarterback to run, put the damn ball in the air and let him do the plays. We talked about this Daniel Jones. He has athleticism. Why is everything got to be so hard? He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not good enough to sit in the pocket and read the defense. RPO, 1-2 read, let's go. Let's move on. We use his athleticism. Even if he does trip after running 85 yards in the open field, he's good enough and fast enough to make plays. Let's get him on the move. Arizona, they do things with Kyler Murray. We're not like, hey, just sit in the pocket and throw the ball. That's not who you are. Let's adapt. Aaron Rodgers will fit in any system. Russell Wilson will fit in any system. You got to adapt your offense to what you have and who you have as personnel. You can't be stubborn as an offensive-minded coach or as a head coach. You have to adapt to the personnel. If you got speed guys like you have in the Chiefs, let's throw the ball deep. We got Mahomes, let's move it. If you've got a solid offensive line, you got Jonathan Taylor, let's run the damn football and then let's hit play action pass. The Rams, think about their offenses. 2 different offenses in the last 3 years. We had the Jared Goff offense, a lot of zone run like the old Denver Broncos, and then play action with Jared Goff and waggles and runs and stuff like that. Now, Matthew Stafford, they ran more 5 wide receivers than anyone in the league because they know his ability to throw, read, and acknowledge what is the defense is giving them. And that's the difference because Sean McVay understands, I got Matthew Stafford. I don't have Jared Goff. I can do this. I can't do that. So I would say hypothetically anyone is available. I mean, Kyler Murray, this show keeps going on, this circuit show. Send him on his way, whatever. I understand.
You have to add him to the list because it is a strong possibility that he could be elsewhere too. I mean, look, I know people are going to be like, oh, well, all the quarterbacks, those quarterbacks are still on the team. We get that. But that's why the question says, hypothetically, who would be the number 1 quarterback on the market? Is it Russell Wilson? Would it be Aaron Rodgers? Because realistically, those guys could be on the move. As of current day, today, March 1st, all those guys, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, just some of the names that could be on the move are currently still on their current team. So we don't know what's going to happen. We haven't even considered the quarterbacks of the draft, which is it's not the greatest draft class, but we haven't even considered those guys as well. For some of those teams, all we've been talking about is Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr. And then you got your guys like Jimmy G, Carson Wentz, the second-tier level, mid-level guys. So this offseason, all in all, Ted, to close up this, is going to be truly fascinating and one that we will be on the edge of our seats and continue to wait and patiently wait in the sense to see what's going to happen. Because we don't know what's going to happen with all these quarterbacks. Ladies and gentlemen, come next year, we can have a whole new NFC, and we can have that AFC, which is already top-heavy with quarterbacks, could be that much more tougher for all the top tiers, like the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, Bengals, just some of them could be just a whole hell of a lot more intriguing in that AFC next year. Ted, did you want to finish up a point?
No, I was just throwing that hypothetical. And, hey, listen, June comes, Trey Lance ain't ready, and you trade off Jimmy G. That's where he's from. That's where he always kind of wanted to play. That was his hometown favorite team. Joe Montana was his favorite.
I haven't even brought
Tom Brady come back for one more run for the San Francisco 49ers. Say, hey, listen, I'll run it back with the 49ers. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, the offense. I mean, it's already built. It's already built for them.
Completely forgot about him too, just because he is currently retired. So as of right now, he is retired and is not on team. But let's not count out the Tom Brady sweepstakes because he could still eventually. We never know. The guy is 45, but he looks like he's 21. The way he takes care of himself, he's got the life. Don't count out Tom Brady as well in the sweepstakes for the quarterback-heavy driven league. Right now, let's get over to we're just been talking about all-ins and how they work. They do work. They've worked in the NFL. They've worked in the NBA. Well, sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, when there's a bad side to the story. There is a bad way that can happen when you go all in. It's happened in LA as well, but it has not happened to the LA Rams or the LA Dodgers. It's happened to the good old LA Lakers. The Lake Show. My LA Lakers, who have been, my goodness, have been an embarrassment, have been a nightmare. And I saw a couple of tweets. I've seen Kendrick Perkins say it. Let's take the LA Lakers off of national television. for some time until we get back to them at least competing. I'm not saying that they're going to win a championship. I'm not saying that. I just need to see them compete to a level where I could say they look like they care. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but the other night, losing by 30 points to the New Orleans Pelicans. The New Orleans Pelicans, without Zion Williamson. The New Orleans Pelicans, who are one of the worst teams in the entire NBA right now. You're losing by 30 points. There is a massive issue going on in LA. Ted, we've talked about LeBron. We talk about LeBron all the time. He will go down as one of the most polarizing athletes. He'll go down as one of the greatest athletes of all time. But yet we also put in the conversation, we'll go down as one of the most polarizing athletes of all time. Because you either love LeBron or you just can't stand him. There's no in between with LeBron, with this guy. That's what it comes down to. And you got to look about what he's done. We know what LeBron James has brought to the game of basketball. We know what he will end up being to the game of basketball once he retires. But you look at situations like this. It worked in Miami for him. It worked in Cleveland for him. It worked at first initially for the LA Lakers when they went in for all-in on the AD sweepstakes. And they made that trade. They won a title for it. But now that you're looking at it, the current situation surrounding the LA Lakers, Ted, can this mess all be blamed on LeBron James? Or are you giving partial due, or partial blame, I should say, to management?
Well, I can only go based on what I read and what is acknowledged through Twitter and, newspapers and social media. It is partially LeBron's fault, but that's what you get when you get LeBron James. You allow one of the best players of all time to have a say in who he wants. Mm-hmm. LeBron wanted Westbrook. He wanted a playmaker to team up with him and Anthony Davis. And partially to their own, the Lakers listened to him. They had a trade. Suppose I was reading last night. It was going to be Montrezl Harrell and Kuzma for Buddy Hield and like a couple other players or something of that sort. And if we've watched LeBron's career, it's always been put shooters around LeBron, almost like he was a big guy, right? Like the old Magic team when they had Dwight Howard. They had all 3-point shooters with the pick. Because LeBron, controls the ball. He drives. He's one of the best passers of all time. And he finds the guys open. So you watch those Heat teams, always like Mike Miller and James Jones and other guys that could shoot, Mario Chalmers, that can shoot the three and spot up shooters. And you got a guy like Russell Westbrook, which, listen, he's got a Hall of Fame resume, but he's not a good shooter. I mean, plain and simple, he's not a good shooter. He's a playmaker. He's almost similar to LeBron, almost a mini LeBron. Plays really hard, gives it all he's got. I mean, that's part of the reason why he had back-to-back triple-double years. But he just doesn't fit. When we were talking about football, just now we're talking about, system. He just doesn't fit. He doesn't fit what the Lakers needed. You literally gave up everything for Russell Westbrook. You gave up your whole bench. You gave up everything other than a 2027.
And Ted, that's the thing that ticks me off, because you said the whole Buddy Hield thing. I mean, that's on LeBron too, because of the sense that, do you really think he wanted a guy like Buddy Hield? I mean, he always wants the names. That's LeBron. And for him, the name that should be on the LA Lakers right now, who was turned into, which at first when people thought was going to be actually one of the worst signings of the offseason, according to Bleacher Report, has turned into a magnificent contract, has turned into a absolute stud this year. And he is a former LA guy. He's from LA. He's from Compton. He played for the USC Trojans. His name's DeMar DeRozan. It was a name that should have been heavily discussed with the LA Lakers, and a guy that would have probably been a better fit, 100%, I'm going to say it, 100% of a better fit than Russell Westbrook. Yes, we know what Russell Westbrook is. He will go down as a Hall of Famer. He will go down as one of the top 75 players of all time. He's got an MVP, triple doubles. His name is in the history books. You can't look past the history books without looking at Russell Westbrook's name. But we know what Russell Westbrook is. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Westbrook fan. He's one of my favorite players of all time. But we know what he is. We know what his strengths are. And we certainly know what his weaknesses are. And they've been completely exposed. And you've gotten to the point you've come to the breaking point, actually. If you look at this Laker team right now, losing by 30 to the Pelicans, getting booed. And that's the thing, Ted. You're getting booed by your home fans.
But
not even that. On top, hold on, listen. What makes it worse, Ted? Understandable. What makes it worse is that you're arguing with the fans. Trevor Ariza, Russell Westbrook, LeBron. Guys, you stink right now. You suck. You are not a good team right now. You were a team coming into this season that had championship aspirations alongside the Nets. You two were the favorites coming into this.
Yeah, but you have a player in Anthony Davis who's unhealthy all the time.
No, but
he has missed multiple games. Listen, this all mess. Listen, it worked out for the Lakers winning the championship. You asked this question last week. Was it worth it when the Lakers won? Yeah, but this is like the Yankees.
Looking back on it now, what it is now.
Yes, this is like the Yankees. This is like Duke basketball. This is like certain of the powerhouse. There's an expectation you have to win every year. There's no such thing as mediocre. There's no such thing as rebuild. When you have LeBron James, you're supposed to be in contention for every year, for the championship every year. Anthony Davis gets hurt, but LeBron wanted Anthony Davis. Remember, when LeBron went to the Lakers, they had all these young players around.
Yeah, Ingram, Kuzma, Ball, Randall were just some of the guys. D'Angelo Russell, just some of the games that.
I mean, who's the other one in the Bulls who got hurt? The white guy.
Caruso. Yeah, Caruso. Just some of the guys that were key integral part of that team.
If you think about what they've given up, right? Take the two trades from Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. They've given up everything for the one championship. And listen, I always said, I don't know if they win that championship if no COVID happens, because they got 3 months of rest and Anthony Davis got healthy and LeBron got healthy, and they were able to really take advantage of no travel and no fans. And they
take advantage of that.
But now you trade for Russell Westbrook. They have no assets. They have
I got something.
Other than Malik Monk, they have, and maybe they have no assets. They have no one to add value to. You're not trading LeBron James, because if you trade LeBron James, you will no longer win. You have no chance. You can't trade. Hold on. You can't trade Westbrook because of his contract and how much. And then Anthony Davis, I guess you could trade him. But, I mean, how much are you really going to get for a guy that continuously gets hurt? How much, if I'm the opposing team, that I want to give up?
Let me finish up this point with you. Westbrook, the only way you could trade Westbrook is to get another large contract, a John Wall-esque type contract. That's the only way you could trade Westbrook. Right now he's on the Rockets, and he's been trying to get out of there, but there was a deal on the table for John Wall alongside a first-round pick with Russell Westbrook for John Wall straight up, and Pelinka, and that's what the report was. They declined it. So
I can't believe the Rockets would want.
The only way you trade. Hold on. The only way you're trading Westbrook is another large contract. AD is a guy you could probably get draft picks with. You could get a piece to. People are going to look at the name. It's Anthony Davis. He's 28, I believe. He's 28, 29. He still has some years to go. I know he has the injury factor, but he's still, when he's on the floor, he's a 25-10 guy. And I just want to say in the sense of assets. So this was an article by Brooks Smith, and I'm going to quote him on this. So the Lakers are bad, and their future doesn't look promising, Ted. Out of a 2027, a 2029 first-round draft pick. Let's say that again. Outside of a 2027 and 2029 first-round draft pick. Yet we are in 2022. They don't have much on the table, T. So
I just told you that.
The mess, right? Yeah, I know, but you didn't know exactly when their first round picks were.
Yeah,
so they
got I said it. Go back 5 minutes ago. I said all they have left is a 2027 and a 2029 first round draft pick.
I don't think you did.
They have no other assets.
You're just saying that. You're just saying that.
You understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
No, nobody does. You're just saying that because you heard what I just said.
No,
you didn't say that 5 minutes. You did not say that 5 minutes ago. But all kidding aside, that's the issues that the Lakers stand and
they chose all old guys. You brought in DeAndre Jordan, who was good 7 years ago.
Well, he just got waived, and they're bringing in DJ, and they're bringing in DJ Augustine.
Great, 34-year-old point guard who
I know.
I know.
I
mean, you listen to LeBron. This is the difference. Players play. GMs are the fine. Why you take their suggestion, you take it strongly, especially a superstar and a guy like LeBron, but. I've talked about this before. LeBron is the worst GM. He gets what he likes, and usually he wins because of him and the superstars he surrounds himself with. The guys he brings in, because if you look at all the teams like the Cleveland Cavs twice and then the Miami Heat, they make all these moves and make LeBron James happy, and then what happens? The teams crumble after he leaves. The Lakers are not going to trade LeBron James. That's the only thing holding them afloat right now. That's their life vest. You trade Anthony Davis, you got to find a way to trade Westbrook, but you have no assets, Trev. You said it. They have no draft picks going forward. They don't have a player on the team where you're like, yeah, I want that guy. Maybe Malik Monk, but who else on their team? They're garbage, bro. They are garbage. But I did tell you this, though. If there is a way where Anthony Davis can come back healthy by the end of the season, right? LeBron is still LeBron, and God forbid Westbrook just finds the way to just do enough. Maybe you put him with the second unit and just say, go be Russell Westbrook like you were for the Thunder. We'll have AD and Anthony and LeBron in the first unit. They could be a scary playoff team because it's just – listen, I know they stink. I know they're garbage. I know they just got beat by 35. You still don't want to play those guys because any night Anthony Davis and LeBron could take over, and those two can win a series by themselves. We've seen it before in the NBA. Could they win a championship? Absolutely not. They're not that good. But they're a team where they could give you enough of a conflict in the first round or upset someone. And we've seen it before where the Lakers at least get to the second round. More likely than not, but they are in trouble going forward. They're going to need to really evaluate their team in the offseason.
You have more faith in this Laker team than I do, and I love the Lakers. I want them to win. I know what they can do if they're healthy, talent wise, but yeah, I don't know. I just they've hit breaking point right now with the sense you lose by 30 at home to a team that is a bad team. It's not a good. This is a bad Pelican team. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Actually,
they're not that bad, bro. They're 2 games. They're only. McCollum has been really good for them.
So they
got some pieces, bro.
They are currently, but the Lakers shouldn't be losing by 30 to a team like that without Zion. But the Pelicans are in 10th place, only 2.5 games back of the LA Lakers, who currently slate at the 9th spot right now. So the Lakers got some work to do. But Ted, like I just said, you have more faith than I do. I don't, even with this team healthy. This team reminds me of the 2011-2012 LA Lakers team when they traded for Steve Nash. They had Dwight Howard and Kobe. Kobe ended up getting hurt, and they made it as an 8 seed. Talent-wise, they were really good, but they were just way past. They were a shell of themselves, what they could have been. This is the same. This is what it is. 10 years later, the Lakers are 10 years later from what they were 10 years ago when we all thought the Lakers were in a hell period. Well, it looks like that could be brewing right now in LA. So at least you got the Rams. At least you got the Dodgers. As USC is going to be back. Boy, oh boy, the Lakers got some work to do. But we're sticking to the NBA because let's talk about the Eastern Conference. How we talk about the Eastern Conference in the NBA is how we talk about the AFC in the NFL this year. Because it really was every week, every game. In this sense, it's every game on who you want to pick. Who do you like? It's the flavor of the day, it feels like, in the Eastern Conference. Like it was the flavor of the week in the AFC Conference this year. It's the flavor of the day, it seems like, in the Eastern Conference. So there's legit. I'm going to just look at 2, 3.
I got the standings right in front of me. I'll tell you right now.
6.
The difference.
Hold on. There's legit possibly. I know you. Give me 1 sec. I wasn't done. So wait your turn. There is legit 6 to 7 teams that could come out of the Eastern Conference, Ted.
No, there's not.
I'm gonna name.
I mean, here's the thing. The quality, though, of the teams, the difference between the 2 seed and the Bulls and the 6 seed, the Celtics, is 3.5 games. All right, that can be made up in a week and a half. They're legit, though, is three teams that are going to come. 4 teams going to come out of the East. Well, legitimately, there's only 4 teams. It's the Bulls. I mean, excuse me, not the Bulls. It's the Heat. It's the Nets. It's Milwaukee, and
that's 4.
And Sixers. No, Heat, Sixers, Bucks, and Nets. That's 4.
Yeah, you said 3.
I said 4. I changed it to 4.
Oh, you changed it.
Yeah, because
you said 3. You said 3.
Well, here's the thing.
I just wanted to correct you.
Well, here's the thing. The Nets right now are not in the top 6. They're in the
8th seed.
They're
in the 8th seed right now.
But Durant's going to be coming back. Ben Simmons will be coming back.
Can you imagine? Think about this. Hold on. Think about this. Say like the Heat or the Bucks or like the Sixers.
I already know what you're going to say.
I know. We're the 1 seed. And you have to play the Nets, and that's a 1-8 matchup. To me, that's a home run for the NBA, but it's also a strikeout for the NBA because you get that great a possible 7-game series between two great teams, two evenly matched teams, but you lose one of those teams too. And two of those teams could be legitimate title contenders.
You knock out a title contender right in the first round, just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, because right now what we're looking at is,
even if the Nets got to like the 7 seed or the 6 seed, that's the thing. Even if they get from 8 to 1, like that's 8 to 6, if they get one of those seeds, they can knock out the Bulls. They can knock out a Heat team. They can knock out a Bucks team, a Sixers team that all are very, very deep. They got stars on their teams. They got great production, got great coaches, and they have a championship pedigree where they could win all this year. So even if they got to the 6th seed, they could be eliminating one of those other title contenders.
And I told you the reason why I didn't think the Bills Bills. Get it together, Ted.
Well, that's what the AFC was this year. It was crazy.
The East is stacked. To think that we got 6 or 7 teams that are really viable to make.
Oh no, Sander, trust me, I ain't sleeping on the Heat. I know how legit the Heat are.
The Heat. No,
we ain't sleeping on the Heat. We ain't sleeping on the Heat.
The Heat are one of the 4 teams that should come out of the East. Them, the Sixers, the Nets, and the Bucks. Now, here's why I say.
Let me ask you this. How would you rank them? How would you rank them top 4? If you had to do right now on March 1st, who would come out of the East in your book, and how would you rank them? I'll go
Heat
4. I want to do
Heat 1.
They would be that would be your favorite right now for the East.
Then the Sixers.
Okay.
Then the Bucks and the Nets last, because I have not seen those 3 guys play together. Yeah. Durant's still coming back. They're saying Ben Simmons, he's got to work on his back. What has he done to hurt his back? He hasn't played basketball in a year. It's a joke.
The whole thing. Yeah, the whole thing's an effing joke.
He's a clown, but I think he works perfect for them. All right. You got 2 guys on the outside with Kyrie and Durant who shoot. Durant doesn't really need the ball, right? Now, what does Simmons do that Durant could, or that Harden didn't do, right? So Simmons likes to work the lane, right? He likes to drive, kick, dish. He's the rebounder. He's kind of like a post player. He's not a spot-up shooter, which is perfect. Because the problem with Harden, as good as those 3 guys were together, and they were like phenomenal. I think they were like 15-2 when the 3 of them actually played together. Is they're all ball kind of dominant except for Durant. Right, so you had too many hands in the cookie jar. We took one out and we let someone from the outside. He'll work great with the team passing. They got.
He doesn't have to shoot.
Which is perfect. He can score. He just gets rebounds and fast breaks. Imagine running the 3-man weave with Durant and Kyrie on the outside and Simmons is coming down the lane at 6'9". So their versatility. Now I say the Bucks at 3 because they're a championship team from last year, but I still think that. I look at their team and I'm like, they're not as good as they were last year. They were a better team last year, right? And then I look at the Sixers and I'm like, this Harden and Embiid team, they're scary. Their 2 players, their top 2 might be better than anyone else's top 2. When you put those 2 ties together, and I think they complement each other really well. You got a guy like Embiid who can work the post. And what did Simmons do that Embiid did the same? They both were in the middle. They both were on top of each other. What does Harden do that Simmons can't do? He shoots. He knows how to go fast. He knows how to go slow. He's a really good passer. I mean, you look at his assists the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, I think he's led the league in assists. What he can do with them in the pick and roll, Embiid could spot shoot the post up. You can't double Embiid because if you do, you leave Harden open. And if you want to play the Harden game, I mean, then Embiid dominates. And Embiid right now has really taken over the league. He looks like the best big man in the league. And then the Heat. But here's the thing: when you ask me who's the best right now, I say the Heat, and then I'll let you finish up. Was when I look at the Heat, I think they got all the pieces to be great. They got a veteran and a tough nose pit bull dog in Kyle Lowry. They got a great spot up shooter in Tyler Hero. They got a leader in Jimmy Butler. They got a defensive minded guy in Tucker, who was on the Bucks last year, who was a very vital
PJ Tucker.
PJ Tucker was a vital key piece to their team last year, winning the championship. And then you had Bam Adebayo, who, listen, let's not face it, he's one of the better big men in the league. He can do a little bit of everything. And here's the other thing, Trev. I'll go back to the both of us. They have a great coach. Eric Spoelstra's we used to think it was only LeBron. Eric Spoelstra's a really good coach. So you have all the pieces to win. They just got to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. They got to get healthy. And they got to stay healthy and they'll have a chance.
If I had to do my rankings, I'd go Heat right now 2. I go them number 1. I go Bucks number 2. I go Nets 3. I go Sixers 4. So the reason I'm going with the Heat, I think their greatest strength, yeah, they got all the right pieces. I think they got depth, bro. They got probably better depth than anybody in the league right now. And it really showed last night. Frank, me and my roommates watched the game last night, and they took it to the Chicago Bulls, who were the number 1 seed, or one of the number. I think they were the number 1 seed.
The 2 seed.
Oh, they were the 2 seed. Now they're 2 games back, but they're 2 games behind. They're the number 2 seed, and they beat up a Bulls team. Yes, they're dealing with injuries, but they beat them up, and that team is deep. The Bucks, I'm picking the Bucks because I think in the postseason, good luck stopping Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's a man possessed. He's a man that's improved every year. They still got their big 3, Middleton and Drew. They come up clutch. Bobby Portis has been like a 6-man, a blue chip type player, the best possible player they could have gotten out of him. And he's really come into his own. Brook Lopez, I know they're not the same team as last year, but you can't count out the champs. They got the right pedigree to win it all. I'm going with the Nets because KD was about 6 inches away, even less, seemed like 6 millimeters away from hitting a 3 instead of a 2 last year against the Bucks. So I'm not going to go against Kevin Durant. Kyrie Irving, I know what he can do in the postseason. I know what KD can do. Simmons, I mean, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to score another point for the rest of your life if you don't want to. You got everything you have. You have shooters. You don't have to shoot the ball. My thing is, I exactly, just needs 14, 10, and 8. I don't even know if he needs to score standard. He doesn't need to do that much because you have shooters. You got Seth Curry as well. We're not even talking about who's a great shooter. And the reason why I'm picking the Sixers last, it's not in Joel Embiid. It really isn't, because I know what that man does every year, regular season, postseason. I know he has a lot of injuries, but I know that man brings it every game for 48 minutes. James Harden, we know what James Harden does in the postseason. I don't give a bleep what James Harden does in their regular season. He is my version of Aaron Rodgers. I do not care what Aaron Rodgers does in the regular season at this time. I need to see what you do in the postseason. And as time and time again, Aaron Rodgers has fallen short. Time and time again, James Harden will fall short. He's the biggest crybaby in the NBA. He is I could go off on James Harden because I do not like James Harden. He's the most one-dimensional player in the NBA by far. Unbelievable offensive talent. We'll go down as a top.
Had 5 steals the other night.
We'll go down as still an awful defender. We'll go down as a top 10 offensive player of all time. He's not a good defender, and he's a baby. He's gotten his way for everything, and if I have to see the Philadelphia 76ers win a championship, I will be sick to my stomach. It's not Joel Embiid. I love Joel Embiid. I'm a huge Embiid fan. But James Harden, we know what you do in the big bright spots. You fail, as always. Yeah, right. He goes MIA. He's like Ben Simmons. That's why the trade worked out for both of them bum asses. Anyways, that's how I think it's going to go. That's currently on March 1st. It could all change. Really feel, huh? But I could trust me. I am. If you want to talk about a player that gets me under my skin, it's James Harden. But this is only March 1st. This is kind of like how the AFC was. Every week can be different. But in the NBA's case, every game could be different. Right now, it's from top to bottom. It's going to be an Eastern Conference playoffs that we are not going to forget, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot wait to see what it looks like. It's only a month. I think about it like a month and a half, a couple games. Like 20 games left. It should be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see it.
Fridays. So 20 games right now. The Heat have played 62 games, and there's 82 games in a season. So there's 20 games left.
Well, there's 20 games left to a fascinating.
That means the month of March, and then April starts the playoffs.
Well, we'll see what happens. Boy, oh boy, that Eastern Conference playoffs is going to be a lot of fun. It's unfortunate that one of those teams will not be making it. Hell, they might not even make it to the second round if those Brooklyn Nets decide to just take it easy and stay. Can you just think about that? Like the Nets could be the 8th seed, they could be the 7, or they could be the 6th seed, and they could possibly eliminate one of those teams that we just mentioned. Well, it's fascinating.
Here's the other thing: you got the Atlanta Hawks, who are sleepers right there. I
think last year was like a little. I mean, that was. I don't know. It's just sometimes
Let's go Charlotte
these...
Hornets.
Who did they just? Oh, they just picked up Isaiah Thomas to a 10-day contract.
Let's go Pomperog.
Let's go Pomperog. We'll be back later in the week to discuss the ongoing issues with the MLB. Owners, players, baseball fans, we have to just patiently wait because as of right now, there is no baseball season. We'll see what happens with these meetings. Supposed to be ending meetings today at 5 o'clock. They're supposed to have possibly the deadline is a deal today. We don't know if it's going to happen. Both sides are working it out. We're going to see what happens. We're going to try to talk some New York Yankee baseball. But if this baseball season is on pause, then I guess baseball will be put on pause for some time being at Keys of the City. So a lot more basketball and a lot more football as the NFL Combine is going to be happening this week. So a lot of NFL draft talk coming up, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of good happening in the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Keys of the City. We're streaming on all social media platforms at Keys of the City. So comment, like, subscribe, or share. Or you can check out clovercrestmedia.com for other podcasts and more, or if you're trying to get involved in this line of work. Ladies and gentlemen, Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. We are out.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we're unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.